Hopefully I'm live. Live and direct from Sheffield. Hi guys, in this meeting, if you like, or webinar, seminar, I'm going to get rid of that. Otherwise, it's going to drive me potty hearing my own voice. So basically, I'm going to go through. I'm just going to choose dollar CAD. Obviously, we've got CPI figures, the consumer price inflation figures, out at 130. It's a market moving data. I'm going to basically break down some timeframes, highlight what I look at on a daily basis, covering numerous different products, mainly FX, as you probably all gathered. So I'm going to break down. I look at multiple time frames in this webinar seminar. I'm just going to discuss 4 different main time frames, what I look at, and which chart I use, and also a program that I'm pretty well, it becomes a major part of my daily analysis, which is a DMARC indicator on an MT4 platform. So anyway, let's share my screen, because I'm sure you don't want to listen to me waffle. Let's get the correct screen. If I move over there. I've got 3 large screens, and I've got a funny feeling I'm going to need another one. Dollar CAD. So hopefully you can now see screen 1. So this is dollar CAD. I've just done a basic setup. So you've got a monthly chart here, weekly chart here, daily chart here, and a 240 40-minute chart here. What I actually have on my screens is monthly, weekly, daily. I have an 8-hour chart, 4-hour chart, and an hourly chart. So I do break it down quite a lot. I also have this down here, which is the MT4 program that I talked to you about. So basically, all I've got down here is an RSI, a stochastics, and what I'm really concerned about, or what I'm fanatical about, as the boys will probably tell you, is these little numbers here. So these are DMARC 13. Joe says, can't see any charts. Can we see charts now? Can we see the screen? Yes. Okay, so sorry about that, guys. Like I said, it's the first time I've hosted a YouTube live. So basically monthly, weekly, daily, and the 240 minute chart. On my setup, I actually have 2 more time frames. Basically what I'm looking for on a daily basis is previous support and resistance levels. And I'm fanatical about Fibonacci, retracement and extension. I have some indicators on an MT4 platform, which I'll show you now. These lines here, lots of them, are combined support and resistance levels. So basically we got a Russian technician quite a few years ago now to build a platform or build an indicator for us that we call TL, actually named after my dog Trevor. Trevor's levels, and it highlights support and resistance levels on a weekly, on a daily, on a 4-hour and an hourly chart, but on one time frame. So you don't have to keep on flicking through time frames. Basically, if you zoom in here, you can see support levels here. These are bands of support now. This is bands of resistance. What I'm mainly fanatical about with regards to the MT4 is these indicators here. So if you zoom in, let's move across a little bit. At the top of that screen, you can see a 13. So that's a DMARC 13. If you flick through time frames, you'll often see 13. Can't see the MT4 charts now. Oh God. I'm sharing the screen, but I'm obviously not sharing the screen, am I? I'm sharing the chart. Let's have a look. Go back into. Not that one. Stop sharing. Share screen 3. Share screen 2. Share screen 1. Hopefully you can see it now. I'll let Joe let me know. Right. So MT4, as I was waffling on before, this is the program, these lines, straight lines that we've got going across the charts. So that shows multiple time frame support and resistance levels, but on one time frame. So you'll notice down here, says daily, New Zealand dollar daily. If I click there, it just is the 4-hour chart, but it's the same support and resistance level. So it doesn't matter what time frame I break down to, it will still give me a band of support and resistance level for the whole of that currency pair in multiple time frames. What I'm looking for when I'm looking at MT4 is these. So these are 13 counts. Okay, so 13 counts highlight potentially the end of the trend and the start of a new downward or upward bias. We also have 9 counts on here, so demark 9 counts. They're correction counts. So normally when you get a 9 count, you'll get a correction in the other direction, but you won't necessarily get a trend reversal. Like everything, they don't always work, but they are a good indication of the end of the trend. And I do not try and pick tops and bottoms without a 13 count. So going back to dollar CAD, we've got 8 minutes till the figures. So basically, what am I looking to happen in dollar CAD? Well, like all other technical analysts, I make very pretty chart patterns, trend lines, etc., etc., etc. But what I have a tendency to do, which I find far more beneficial, is just going to this time frame again. This is the intraday time frame. Is I do count waves. Okay, so I'm looking at fibs. I use both extension and retracement tools. I'm pretty fanatical about exhaustion counts, like I said, and I'm also looking in these multiple time frames for previous support and resistance. So what I have a tendency to do is use maybe a 240-minute chart, a 60-minute chart. I put a fib level on there, retracement, extension, maybe both, to put, especially if I'm unsure of the underlying trend. And then what I'm looking for, and again, we'll just go out to the weekly chart here, is previous areas of support and resistance, because what was support becomes resistance, what was resistance becomes support, etc., etc., etc. And I don't go for millions of them, and I only go for the ones that dominate price action, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm looking for ones that are extreme highs, extreme lows. I'm looking for ones that have had multiple touches. So it might have been support, then becomes resistance, and it's hit that level or around that level multiple times. I find that the more times it hits it, the more powerful it becomes. Okay, so here on this intraday chart, and this is all we've got really at the moment, we can see that we've basically passed through. We've got an impulse move to the upside. We also have that move lower in oil yesterday, which has conversely made dollar CAD move to the upside. So it's strengthening Canadian dollar. Sorry, we've had a sell-off in oil yesterday because of the glut of oil supply. So we've had a weakening in oil, and we've had a strengthening, a weakening in dollar CAD in Canadian dollars. I'll get there eventually. So we've seen dollar CAD move to the upside. So US dollar strengthened, Canadian dollar has weakened. So basically now, not necessarily in no man's land, we've got a resistance level here, which has been touched on numerous occasions. So 1, 2, 3, 4. We've got a 161.8% fib at 132.80. If I go down to my dollar CAD chart, are there any clear indications of a change of trend? Now we've got a bullish outside candle in yesterday's price action. The bullish outside candle often indicates the end of a trend and the start of a new upward bias. So that is a bullish indicator. We've had some follow through buying. Again, if we look there, this is the 4-hour chart. So we've gone down towards support. We've posted a bullish outside candle. What I liked about that bullish outside candle yesterday was it's got what's known as a DMARC flip. Now these things you really, if you want to get into DMARC, you really do need to read up on it. And there's a very good book called, you can see that, hopefully, it's called DMARC Indicators by Thomas R. DMARC, and it's by Jason Pearl, a guy that used to work for UBS, and that is a very good book if you're going to get into DMARC indicators. So basically what you've got there is what's known as a TD flip. So you notice it's got a little 1 above it. So that means, he calls it a price flip, and it means that the bias has gone from going down to going up. Pretty obvious in that case, and we've continued to the upside. Now these are blue DMARC indicators. That basically means that we should move up to a 9 count. So this is a 4-hour chart. Here on this time frame, there's no clear indication that the trend is going to come to an end. If we go to this time frame, and again it's just breaking down time frames, a 1-hour chart, no clear indication. 30-minute chart, again we've got a 4 count there, but there's no clear indication. And then but we go to this time frame, which is a 50-minute chart, and I don't go any lower than that. It's indicating that the current trend could be getting close to exhaustion. Now you can't predetermine the counts as far as DMARC's concerned. You got an 8 count there. It's not an exhaustion count. You can't think, well, maybe it's going to go a bit further to the upside and then it's going to post a 13. You have to wait for the 13 count to be produced. A lot of the time you'll get towards a fib level, you'll get towards a previous swing high, you'll get towards something else that you're looking at, Ishimoku cloud, and you think, well, I'm on a 12 count, I'm going to execute a sell trade, and it wouldn't be the wise thing to do, because those 12 counts can drop, and what will happen is the next count will be a 1, and it didn't actually complete a 13, and you've got to wait all the way until for another 13 to be produced. So as far as DMARC's concerned, and as far as this chart is concerned, I don't think we're going to see a mass movement in Canadian dollar over the figures. I would at the moment be looking at selling into rallies, but inside this band here, and then potentially only for a correction to the downside. Now we've got not long, I don't believe. I've got about 30 seconds now until the figures. I'm just going to move some stuff around so I can actually see what comes out. I've got 2 economic calendars up on my charts. I've got the FX Street one. We've had a sort of partnership with those guys for quite some time. 1.9 is expected, so same as previous. A higher than expected figure is obviously bullish for Canadian dollars. So a higher figure, bullish for Canadian dollars, should see dollar CAD move to the downside. A lower than expected figure, conversely, we should see it move higher. The wheels are spinning, but nothing's coming out yet. Got 1120, 129. I don't trade the figures. I should throw that into the mix. I have this every morning. This is my cheat sheet, if you like. So it has 24 different currency pairs on it. It has certain areas of support and resistance. And I'm basically looking for confirmation of reversal patterns around those areas. So it's come in as expected. Year on year 1.9, month on month 0.4, was expected 0.3. Again, they're all in line, so even if we sort of drill it down into a minor time frame, you'll probably see a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction, but this is a 30-minute chart, absolutely bugger all. So back to the drawing boards. Let's have a flick through some other currency pairs, see what's going on. Dollar Swiss moving to the downside, I'm going to see if there's anything that's really sort of jumping out on this at the moment. I like New Zealand dollar, but I like it at a higher level, actually potentially making a double top today. But I've got very little in the way of decent setups with regards to any the currency majors really today. Okay, guys, a bit of an anticlimax. Like I said, I still think it's a case of selling into rallies, but I mean, even if you do, I think dollar CAD is going to be limited upside and then limited downside when you get back towards this support level. That's it. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that. A bit waffly and bit hard to get used to the new software to start with, but if you bear with us, we will get better. Okay, cheers guys, thank you, bye for now.